Hey guys, so I want to take you through my evening routine. Sorry about the view right now, but I think this is a good place for me to set up so you can kind of see how I scan my body. And I'd like to do this before bed most nights. I say bed because too many of us turn off the computer, then maybe switch on the news or check it on your phone, and we go right from that stress into an effort to be a good sleeper, which isn't necessarily possible for how we're feeling. And then we feel kind of tired. We wonder why we're feeling tired, and it's just a perpetual cycle that is never ending. So if we can decompress a little bit and assess your body, while you're assessing your body, you're preparing it for being a good mover the next day and being a less stressed physical being. Like, stress isn't just mental, it definitely takes a toll on your physical body. I want you guys to experience a body that you've never experienced in your life. If there is a saturation of stress that we aren't even aware of, we just won't get there. I mean, we just have to accept the fact that we won't get to a place of feeling sensitive and receptive to a lot of things in life. This is big for that. So this is about a 15-minute routine, and we're gonna start now. So just start with internal rotation of the hip. I'm focusing on this region of my hip here as my femur internally rotates up here at the hip. And I begin to breathe when I start to realize when I start to find tension. And I want to be careful with my words because the word tight is a word that people become associated with. Oh, I'm so tight here. Oh, I'm so tight there. Yeah, it's a good thing actually that you're tight, because if you were so loose, if you had to run for your life, you would be kind of just flopping down the street or wherever you're running. We need tension in your body, but almost more than that, we need to express balance. It's a little bit, I was gonna say unfortunate, but it's also a positive thing to be good at time management. I would like to try to spend at least a minute in each section here, and this is already probably approaching 2 minutes, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to make this about a 15-minute routine. Now, if you're experiencing pain on the inner part of your knee, maybe just skip this part, but you can kind of imagine what this would be like. So I'm talking to you while I'm trying to scan my body. That's doing two things at once. Maybe by this point you're kind of coming out of a meeting, and who knows how it was. Maybe it was the best meeting of your life, or you had to be stern with somebody because they're just not understanding you, or you had to fire someone, or I don't know what. But this thing that we present ourselves into the world needs attention. I can sense that my left hip has more restriction than my right in certain areas. If I put myself in a different position, somehow I have a little more mobility on my left side. So it comes down to everything being connected, and there is no judgment, just breathing. That's quite a nice feeling in the deeper part of my glute. Like, I feel a little bit on the front side. No issue with my knee here, so I'm just taking it. And it's kind of like, the way I see this whole thing is, it's kind of like if you ask a guitar player, man, how did you get so good? I picked up the guitar and started playing until my fingers bled, and then I put it back down, realized I went too far, and then I almost let them bleed the next time, but just to the point where I could pick it back up again the next day. And I think if we take that approach to life in general, but just the act and the art of taking care of your body is something to be applauded. It's the further we go in advancement of technology and the convenience factor of many things, the further we get from our bodies, and not just our bodies, our center of mass, like our hips, our core. Now, I'm spending some time here. I hope I'm not wearing you out already, but in this position, you can kind of see I'm just kind of help myself out of there, okay? From this position, we're gonna go into a 90-degree angle at the knee and at the hip pretty much, but just assessing the lateral rotators of my hip, deep rotators. And you don't need to know what the anatomy looks like. I think it would be beneficial if you did, if you had a look at it, but just try to imagine what the outer part of your glutes and that mechanism kind of looks like. And here I need to focus on my breathing a bit so I can allow something to happen here. We want to find tension and use tension to feel more tension. Tension isn't a bad word. It's what makes us us. We need that in our life. We need stress, otherwise there'd be no reason to make any advancements forward in life. Just going to switch right to the other side. Here's where I experience more restriction on the left, but I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Just move forward and breathe, and it sounds cheesy, but have some appreciation for what I'm doing for myself here. I know I'm not symmetrical. I know that. Neither are you. I'm kind of playing with my QL, which is a muscle that attaches lower part of your back, ribs, down to your hip. It's an area that causes a lot of disruption in people and can be a muscle that has aggravation. We want that to be a happy area. Okay, from there, kind of nice, and then we'll swing the legs open. Maybe you can walk your feet forward a bit, and then we're just going to allow gravity to pull the torso towards the ground. Pull your chest and your belly button towards the ground. Not necessarily just flexing the spine. We want to have some extension. Now that lever becomes something for gravity to pull on. And of course, I'm experiencing tightness through here, but no doubt it's appreciated. Like my body appreciates this. I'm gonna train later today. I have 15 minutes to do this, and I just did it. I put my camera on, and now I'm in this position, exploring my body in an attempt to teach you how to perhaps do the same. Because I will see it when you come in. You'll have some more skill to use. Here I'm just reaching, like you'll notice now that I don't look like a yogi. Like, wow, Evan's tight. Wow, I can touch my chest to my leg. He can't even do that, or whatever you might be thinking. Maybe you're not thinking that. I really don't care what other people can do. I'm just assessing this lateral part of my left side. Maybe bring a little rotation, and then I'll ease out of that, okay? Last thing I want you to do is aggravate something. Now this side, my right side, shows more restriction, and maybe that's why my left hip is tighter. The back right side is tight. Maybe that has something to do with the left side.
I don't know. I think if anybody says they know for sure, then take that with a grain of salt. Our bodies are so intricate. The world's greatest machine ever made. Way better than your Apple Watch. Okay, from here, I'd like to take us into just like feel that for a second. It's quite nice. Maybe it's not nice. Maybe it's too much, like a new stress that you're experiencing, and maybe that could be enough. But we're gonna continue on here. So I'm gonna have you try to roll your feet over your head. You can get a little help here if you need it, but over time, hopefully not. And then we'll rock forward and maybe end up close to that same V position. Hopefully you don't have a rack in front of your head like I do right now. But that's awareness. And we come back. Forward. Kind of visualizing as I go back, I'm visualizing my spine a little bit, like my hips and my thoracic spine. Of course, like this looks like maybe a dangerous position, but you should see the position that babies end up in comfortably for a long time. And it doesn't mean that we have to be like babies. But I have a baby at my house right now, and she is seemingly constantly exploring her own body as she's just wiggling around. We'll do one more. If I was the master of general health assessments, this would be one of the ways where I would assess someone's general health. Can you lay on the ground and roll your feet over your head? I think I might start becoming a betting man because, and I always use this example, if I had 10 people, this, and this, I bet at least 5 out of 10 people on this planet can't do that right away. Sometimes it might take time, but it's something to work towards. Now we're gonna keep up with the theme of the spine here and just do something that has little stimulation. Like there isn't much stimulation here other than the fact of here I'm trying to pull the middle of my spine towards the ceiling, tuck my tailbone, and then allow some extension of the spine. I can really feel tightness through my core, like all the sheath of my core, like all the way through there. But also mainly, we're focusing on just shaking the spine, moving the spine a little bit. Okay. Now, I might end up getting on the ground here, and we'll do like a side plank, and we'll hold it for 10 seconds, but if you're doing this on your own, maybe you can hold it for 20. Say 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we'll rotate. Rotate the thoracic cavity a little bit. Hold it for 8, 7, 5, 3, 2, rotate. Okay. Not massive, little core activation. This is the kind of stuff that will accidentally leave you looking more fit. Really, it's not the workouts that you chase in the week. That's the stuff that needs to happen. That's the basis of it all, but these are the side dishes. You don't just want to eat steak every meal. Get some sweet potato, Brussels sprouts, some kimchi, carrot, tomatoes. Oh my God, those have carbs. Says the person who is always afraid of putting on weight. I say that because if you do this stuff, you'll become less worried about that. But don't get me wrong, I want to look like a well-oiled machine and feel like one too, not be someone who's always trying to lose fat. I wouldn't have the clients I have if that was what I was always trying to do. So I have to change mindsets. Here we go into probably my favorite way to kind of just spend some time. You can do this in bed. At least assess the adductors of your inner thigh. Sometimes I'll have my wife just place her foot on my hips, and just setting her foot there, you can feel the difference that it makes in gravity or just being forced towards the ground. I'm just spending time in places that I won't spend normally without this effort. And after this, I feel nice, like walking through the house to finish preparing everything for bed. I guess a sense of accomplishment, but more so than that, I give myself a chance to train hard tomorrow. Now, while we're here, we're gonna put one hand on the ground, our hips are fixed, and we're just gonna rotate a bit. Force into the ground, slide, almost like the thread the needle side plank, but I don't know if you heard that, but got a little movement in my spine. Again, this side, take my time. I'm pushing into the ground with my left, and I'm trying to allow my ribs to rotate more than they would if I was just taking a seat, having a seat, getting my work done. I'm gonna have to sit down at the computer and probably edit this a bit. The question is, can you feel what's happening to your body when you sit for even 30 minutes straight? Ouch. Okay, from there, let's get through the hip flexors a little bit. Okay, we'll end up in this half kneeling position, and this is old school, man, going this way. We wanna tilt the hips a bit, almost like you're dumping water out of the backside of your hip. Then you can kind of shift into it. I always find how much of a rush people are in when I get them in this position, because I might say, okay, we'll start here first, and let's hold it for 30 seconds. And it seems like 8 seconds later, they're already going to the next pose. This is meditation right here. We're focusing on this region of the body. We need this to be happy, because we're gonna be doing a lot of like squat patterns, lunge patterns. If this is rigid and stiff and doesn't have good blood through it, we'll be lucky if we don't run into any discomfort. I'll just say that. So just feeling this region. It's not one muscle, it's a lot of connective tissue through here. And let's see if we can picture breathing into it and see if we can make it turn red. If we can have a color for this region. It could be white and like dark red, like brown, or it can be fresh red with blood. So that might have been a minute and a half or two even, okay? Now I'm gonna go hand behind my head and just flex my spine a bit, focus on my breathing more. This lateral bend almost takes my breath away a little bit. And then I'll use some of that just strength, control to come back to center, and we'll do the other side. We'll walk through this one pretty quickly here. I'm gonna do 6 breaths. That's 1. Appreciate the natural light that's coming in through these windows. My next
Next client might be coming in here in a minute, but I'll be loose. I'll switch it on, switch my energy. It's 3. Deep one, 4. Picture my lungs expanding. Little double inhale as I exhale. Put a little bend. And back to center. Okay, for the last one here, hopefully I'm still on the screen. Just gonna come down to a baby squat. And I'm gonna time it. Try to stay through your heels. We're gonna stay here for a minute. Of course, within your tolerance, if we have knee pain, maybe it's good. Maybe it's good to get here. Another region of the body which I could give more attention to, and I think if I could give more attention to it, most people could do the same. Rarely do people have great ankle mobility. And this is an area where it gives me a chance to feel the strength. You can see as I pull my hands closer to my body and touch my shins, it brings all of my mass to center, and it once I want to fall backwards, except the front side of my shin has to work really hard. 3, 2, and then I'll stand up out of that squat. Hopefully I'm still on the screen. That lasted about 18 to 20 minutes, I think. I can feel my mid-back just from trying to sit in that squat, so that's a nice feeling. And I hope this makes you feel a couple kgs lighter, like feel lighter. Sometimes we can be lighter, but feel heavy in our energy and our mood. So it's hard to have a complete balance, but if we don't assess our body and scan our body and focus on how we are projecting our thoughts, life becomes a little bit heavier in general. Try this before you go to bed, once a week. Just start there. I think you'll enjoy it. Leave everything to the side, set the mood, light a candle, get the right scent, the right lighting, and get your mind ready for a good night's sleep, because that's the best medicine there is. Thanks.